9 o'clock, this is Eamon Falvey. Good evening. AIB Bank's decision to write down 99% of a debt for the hurling star DJ Carey has been raised in the Dáil. The Aontú leader, Peadar Tóibín, questioned the Taoiseach Leo Varadkar on the matter after reports said the amount involved ran into millions of euros. Deputy Tóibín said the scale of what was reported was jaw-dropping and incredible. The Irish Times is reporting tonight that AIB defended the decision in a memo to staff. The Taoiseach said he was reluctant to talk about any individual's personal finances.
Deputy Tóibín asked about the jaw-dropping settlement which has made the papers. I'm so reluctant to talk about any individual's personal finances, whether they're famous or not, but I think if the committee is having the banks in, they could certainly explore the wider policy approach that banks follow in writing down debts.
Attempts to get a deal on the Northern Ireland Protocol over the line have continued throughout the day. Further meetings were held between representatives from the EU, the UK and Ireland to finalise the post-Brexit trading arrangements for the North. The EU's chief Brexit negotiator says the finishing line is in sight, but that a deal hasn't yet been struck. While anxious for the Stormont impasse to be resolved, the leader of the Unionist Party, Doug Beattie, says failure to get the right deal could be catastrophic.
The bottom line is we need something that can move us forward, because see where we are now in Northern Ireland. If it's bad now, it's going to be worse in 12 months. I don't know what they would do, because if the UK and the EU agree a deal, that will be the deal. There will be no negotiations in that. And if that leads to a collapse of the Prime Minister and the UK government, that's not going to be good for the United Kingdom either.
The Ukrainian ambassador says finding accommodation for refugees is a painful situation for both new arrivals and the state. Speaking before an Oireachtas committee, Larissa Carrasco called on the Oireachtas to recognise Russia as a terrorist state. She thanked Ireland for its support in Ukraine's EU membership bid and asked the leaders here to support escalating sanctions on Russia. She gave this response when asked about the accommodation standards in this country.
With regard to accommodation, it's always, I would say, painful issue for both sides, for Ukrainians and for Irish government. I am in constant contact with the Department of Children.
That's it for now. More news in an hour.
News Talk weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. Make the most of Paddy's weekend with Ryanair low fares to Bologna, Lisbon or Madrid.
Rain will develop early tonight and it'll be breezy for a time. Highs of 3 degrees Celsius. Now you're up to date on News Talk.
Your chance to win big. News Talk's cash machine.
Now, someone answered Barry's call with the right number this afternoon, so we've had 3 winners in a row on the cash machine. It has been reloaded. The new number is €40,321.66. Text play to 57557. Get your entry in by 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And then across the Go Loud network of stations, Barry Dole will make the call. If your phone rings, answer within 5 rings. The exact amount in euro and cents, and the cash is yours. So the new number again, €40,321 and 66 cents. Over 18s only, text cost €2.50, and you're playing across the Go Loud network of stations. Terms and conditions on newstalk.com.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Now, just before we get into the football show, amazing prize to give away in the show all week with thanks to Budweiser, official beer sponsor of the Premier League. We're giving away pair tickets to Premier League match of your choice, whatever you fancy. Plus, we'll give you flights, accommodation, €500 spending money. So, brilliant prize. All you have to do is identify tonight's mystery voice who has been giving me some life advice.
Smile a bit, laugh a bit more with I think you become a miserable git when you Saturday nights, you get miserable, didn't you? But
production box enjoying that one. Your name and answer please to 53106. Every correct entry will go into Friday's draw. Once again, all with thanks to Budweiser, official beer sponsor of the Premier League. Always drink responsibly, get the facts, be drink aware, visit drinkaware.ie. T's and C's do apply. You can check it off theball.com for more details.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky. Watch every single live Premier League game this season on Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports.
I'm prepared to do anything I can to play for my country again.
Do it then.
What about your start to the game? It wasn't bad, was it?
Why should an honest answer be a mistake?
How can a modern day manager not have a mobile phone?
Why should he?
Now you're welcome along, football show. We're in the midst of, what we can call thus far classic at Anfield. Second half's just started. Liverpool 2, Real Madrid 2. Núñez, Salah, followed by Vinicius Jr. twice on 21 minutes and 36 minutes. Liverpool were 2-0 up after just 14 minutes. Blistering start. Who knows what's going to happen in the second 45? Kenny Cunningham and I will take you through it. Kenny, good evening again.
All right.
I should let you know, listener, I bought Kenny some chocolate with my own money.
Let it go, Joe. Let
at
it
the
go.
vending machine. He threw it back in my face. Not a fan of a raisin in his Yorkie, it turns out. It's a lesson learned.
Travesty.
Meanwhile, we've had thoroughly enjoyable middle hour watching this game. We'll talk through some of the goals in just a moment. Is that a penalty?
I think it's a free kick right on the edge of the penalty box. Vinicius taking on Alexander-Arnold, beating him, and then Joe Gomez coming across. A bit clumsy, wasn't it?
We'll talk through some of the goals in just a moment, but in broad terms, high tempo, high quality.
Yeah, high quality, you're right. Really good tempo. First 5-10 minutes, absolutely fantastic. Liverpool starting a bit of a high press, high tempo, trying to get on the front foot, but as well as that, Madrid not being intimidated, looking to play their football even on the edge of their penalty box, Joe, and trying to impose themselves. So yeah, I thought it was a great start to the game, and yeah, never relented really.
Yeah, like lots of great moments where there was excellent attacking play and then brilliant defending. You couldn't fault either side. You just had to say, well, that was great football from both.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Madrid came into the game obviously.
Goal.
God. They're back in the game even more so now.
Real Madrid goal out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's a hammer blow.
Wow. Just
that free kick that Joe Gomez gave away at the edge of the box. A bit clumsy. Should have stayed on his feet. Joe, really experienced defender, and just shepherded Vinicius away from the goal. Didn't give away the free kick. Modric is on it, and you're thinking most people are just going to scoop that into the 6-yard box. Somebody go put your head on it. But he didn't. This looks like a worked out routine for me. He just kind of pops it. It's almost like a little cutback through the air to Vinicius it was, and it's just the timing. All the Liverpool players are expecting the cross to come into the box, and it's more of a precision ball for me from Modric. He actually picks out Vinicius.
I think it's Militao actually.
Oh, it's Militao, excuse me. Yeah, and what he does, Joe, he starts at the back post, Militao, and Liverpool have got that zonal defending. So as he makes that run to the near post, nobody goes with him.
Yeah.
This is to a certain extent the course of the zonal defending. When he arrives in that area, the timing of the pass from Modric is absolutely perfect. So as he arrives, the ball's there, and it's a relatively easy header, isn't it? 5 yards out.
Yeah, he almost say with the side of his foot, admittedly, but he almost punches that ball head height all the way. And as you said, no one went with him. I think it was Gapco was on Militao initially, but a bit flat-footed. So from 2-0 down to 3-2 up at Anfield, 49 minutes on the clock. Let's see what the Liverpool response is. Just to chat through the goals. 4 minutes, the Darwin Núñez goal. Both the Salah pass, which did not look on when he hit it, and then the Núñez finish was outrageous.
Oh, it was. And it was even more than that, Joe, to be honest with you. The hold of play initially from Gakpo, that central area, getting his head up, just fed it into Salah. And as he drifts inside on his left foot, you know he's always looking for that kind of pass, but it looked as if the gate was shut. You know, it needed that literally eye of a needle pass. Weight of the pass had to be perfect. The movement from Núñez as well. Actually got himself into an orthodox central striking position, really, didn't he, when he made the run? He came off the left-hand side, he drifted into that central area, and then a little explosion of pace in behind Militao. The ball had to be perfect from Salah, which it was. And even then he had a bit to do, hadn't he? The ball was slightly behind him, and just a little flick with the inside of his right foot. It was a brilliant finish. What a great goal.
The old Lee Sharp, Kenny.
Yeah, Giggs, they could all do that one. Yeah, it was a brilliant goal. All ends up. Yeah, it was fantastic.
So that was Liverpool 1-0 up. Really amazing goal. If you haven't seen it, you will. And the pass doesn't look on. That's the thing. If you press pause as Salah's making his way towards the area, there's nothing on. And then moment of quality, and Liverpool are 1-0 up. 10 minutes later, this was not a moment of quality. Mo Salah scores. Courtois, we were just chatting during the half. Courtois is of that generation akin to David De Gea, where the demands of his position have transformed midway through his career. And I'm not saying he makes this mistake routinely, but he probably didn't grow up having to play football to this extent.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. And you could say he's a big man, isn't he? 6'4", big lump as well.
Not a nice back pass.
No, it wasn't. And I think there's actually, it's actually similar to the to the mistake which Alisson made in terms of the quality of the back pass. I think Carvajal could have done better, could have popped that along the deck. He didn't. He bounces it into him. Even still, Joe, he should do better. Rudiger just drops off to the left-hand side to receive the ball. I just thought he was going to pop it over Mo Salah's head, but he didn't. He had a bit of a panic attack, took the extra touch. But even still, even then, looks like a tap-in from Mo Salah, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? He hadn't got a huge amount of the goal to aim for. Courtois still there between him and the goal, and he's like a little bit off balance. It takes with the outside of his left foot, just kind of backs himself. It was like a real kind of impudent finish almost. Brilliant though from Salah, and yeah, looking great value at that stage. Although to be fair, Joe, I don't know what your feeling was at the time, but a 2-0 for Liverpool. I was looking at that clock thinking, long way to go here.
Precisely. And I mean, it's not like this Madrid side I don't think it's possible to rattle them. I mean, even like moments after that mistake from Courtois, they're still smashing the ball back to him. They're playing football. They haven't lost their composure whatsoever. And they probably Madrid had a pretty good spell immediately after that Liverpool goal. The Vinicius Junior first goal on 21 minutes. You made the point that this guy can get his shot away in double quick fashion, and he did that here. It was a curler into the far corner.
Oh, it was brilliant. Even how he got his yard of space, Joe. There's a lot of Liverpool. It's a low defensive block. The Liverpool midfielders, Henderson and Fabinho, are almost kind of holding hands with their defenders behind them. Initially, he's kind of in contact with Jordan Henderson. He kind of drops the shoulder on him a little bit and gets himself a kind of a yard of space. And because of that, he gets turned and he's actually running at Gomez now. Generally speaking, from a defensive point of view, you're hoping one of your centre midfielders will stay in contact with him and push him away from goal. It was just that little bit of individual skill, like I said, a little bit of a shimmy, dropping the shoulder and Henderson kind of went for it a little bit. Now he's turned and he's facing the goal and he's taking a big step towards Gomez. I think it was Fabinho tried to get across, but it was too late. Just opens up his foot and tremendous power and precision on the finish. It was a brilliant goal.
Brilliant goal. He had a similar moment later in the game and he slipped as he hit the strike, and it was just a brilliant Alisson save, but ball was going for the same corner, so he likes that one, Vinicius. His second goal, I guess you give him 10 out of 10 for trying to close down Alisson, but ultimately it's on Alisson. There was a bit of a bobble on the back pass, and did he try to be too clever?
Now, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, I thought Joe Gomez done really well initially in terms of dropping early into the space, knew the threat of Vinicius' speed. So he recognised that Liverpool had given it away, hadn't they, by Cecic, given it away cheaply in midfield. Gomez got himself back into a good defensive position. Ball was played through. Now he's favoured, so it's just a little side pass back to the goalkeeper. But unfortunately, if you see it, he just pops it into the turf, doesn't he? So now it's bobbling towards Alisson. I think that comes into his decision making.
He gave it to Mesut Ozil.
You're right, exactly. But that type of, I think if he slides that along the deck to Alisson just hits that 50 yards up the pitch because he doesn't even have to think about it. I think the fact it was bobbling slightly towards him, I think that makes his mind of, I'm just going to get a solid inside step on it, back out towards Gomez, which wasn't on. And one of the replays we saw, Joe, it just looked as if I felt it just might have slightly come off his standing foot before he even made contact, which makes it even harder, obviously. So, yeah, look, it's a goalkeeper mistake. He's going to have to hold his hands up and take responsibility. But in regards to the Real Madrid goal and that goal, I think both goalkeepers after the game will be looking at the defenders, Carvajal and Gomez, and thinking, could have made it a little bit easier for me.
Alisson a touch unlucky. The amount of times that deflection goes off striker and goes wide or goes over. More often than not, it doesn't go in. But this shot up in the air off Vinicius' standing leg and just bounced into the net. It took a moment on TV to realise, it's in. I thought it had gone wide initially.
I know, good though. Yeah, amazing, massive turnaround. Van
Dijk went to give like Alisson keep your head up thing, and it's kind of interesting watching these games with former footballers. Sometimes you were like, he doesn't need that. Don't do that to him. Don't patronise him.
Yeah, it's the last thing you want. You just want to be kind of left alone, just to kind of simmer down yourself, because you'll know that's a big mistake. I mean, we're looking at the game here now.
It's a Real Madrid goal. Massive deflection. Benzema, 55 minutes. Real Madrid from 2-0 down or 4-2 up. Wow.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. Obviously, we're chatting here, Joe. We're looking at the game. The volume's down, isn't it? But every time I look at the screen, it's but it's Madrid in the Liverpool half. We're seeing real kind of sustained pressure in the opening 10 minutes. It is second half. Real Madrid almost looking as if they've gone up a gear. I wouldn't say come out of their shell, but
Sharp
they've just found another
passing
gear.
in the Liverpool half. A lot of sharp passing.
Oh yeah,
This is and it's an example of a little 1-2 edge of the area. Benzema doesn't get a great shot away.
No, he doesn't. He just kind of lends it to Rodrigo, gets it back. He's actually reaching.
It's gone wide
off his left foot, yeah. And it's Gomez, isn't it? He's just kind of stood there. He can't shuffle his feet. He hits it straight at him, comes off with his left foot, deflects past the goalkeeper.
It's a Benzema shot, whereas you said he's reaching for the ball. He gets no purchase on it, no power, skews it a touch. It's going to go about 5 yards wide with no power. And it's off Gomez and Alisson. I don't know if Alisson had no chance, but clearly couldn't get to it. That's 2 goals where Liverpool will feel a touch unlucky. 4-2.
This is, wow, amazing, isn't it? But this is the quality that they have, Madrid. And again, those Liverpool goals, I'm just looking at that last goal there, Joe. Liverpool kind of plenty of bodies back. I think it could have, you could 1 or 2 small little issues in there in terms of how they could defend at the edge of the box. Fabinho front of Benzema kind of gets done with the 1-2. Could Gomez have actually stepped out early and dealt with Benzema, because he doesn't run it. He doesn't run into the box initially. Checks his run to the edge of the box. Every Liverpool defender drops into the box, but there's nobody else there. Benzema does that a lot. He doesn't make it easy for you as a centre half. Doesn't go stand on your toes, Joe. Like, you know what I mean? Comes away from you 10 yards away.
Yeah.
Are you going to come and follow me? No, most centre halves don't really want to go there. But sometimes as a centre half, you have to, because there's no threat in behind you. Nobody's attacking the space in behind you. Better to step out early and go and engage Benzema on the edge of the box rather than let him have the ball, get his head up and look to play a little clever 1-2, which he did. So it's always small detail in games like this.
Cliche alert, next goal crucial and all that. I mean, Liverpool are still in the game and they have looked threatening, but probably on balance Madrid are the better side. Strange goals aside, Madrid look very, very good in the Liverpool half. They're knitting lovely passages together, but you'd still say this is an improved Liverpool on recent months.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first half performance. Yeah, I've got to say that. Good energy, tempo to their game, real kind of physical presence as well. And that's we've spoken about them, like centre midfield in particular. I thought Henderson done well in the first half. Boyetic, a couple of small little errors, but Jenny, I thought he quit himself quite well. Front three looked a real threat, real kind of cohesion to their play in and out possession, which we haven't seen too often from Liverpool. Well, for the majority of the season. So that was good to see. I really enjoyed their performance.
The sharpness of their passing. Salah looked sharp.
Well, he had Alaba tied up in knots. Alaba was a big disappointment for me. It looked as if like he'd lost a yard of pace. It was no bad thing actually when he came off, and Nacho was more of a dependable defender, maybe came onto the pitch.
And Núñez, obviously goal aside, excellent goal aside, very alive, big impact in the game. Gakpo,
he looks comfortable. Well. Gakpo doesn't down that centre. We spoke about it before the game, like for the Dutch and the World Cup, look very comfortable in those central striking areas. And again today, first half, holding play up. Strong boy, isn't he? Yeah. Looks a little bit kind of, leans, you know what I mean? But he's strong, he's quick, and he can move with the ball. He gets his head up. He sees pictures around him. So he looks very comfortable in that kind of central striking area. So couldn't, like I said, first half, couldn't be. You'd be very pleased with Liverpool's support in terms of what you've seen. Frustrated, obviously, going into 2-2 at half time, but the general performance, Joe, is probably as good as they've seen all season.
So I think 2-2, touch disappointed half time. Second half, 1 free kick routine, and then 1 big deflection. So they're kind of scratching their heads a bit, saying, do we deserve to be 4-2 down? But here they are. On Bajcetic, and he's going to be a really good player, I think. It's interesting. I had thought, looking at his play, he was a touch conservative in his passing this evening, and I was mentioning to you against Newcastle in the build-up to one of the Liverpool goals, he took the ball off Van Dijk under a lot of pressure and just like an inside of the foot turn, spun his man and set up the goal. I guess different levels you get punished. He managed that beautifully at St James's Park, but here there was a moment in midfield where lovely little turn, got away from a man, and then tried to do it again.
Yeah.
Just you can imagine it. I've beaten one, I've beaten another.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly.
And he was dispossessed in that moment, having been very conservative and assured for much of the game, and Madrid go and punish, and that that would be a real...
Albeit a big mistake from the goalkeeper
Sure.
as well, don't get me wrong. But you're right, that's experience, realising, I've made a good pass, and, let's not get too carried away. Keep my emotions in check, make sure the next one's a good one. Looking to play a big switch of play there. Yeah, look, he's shown us what I think we've seen already in Liverpool jersey. Good, very calm in possession, good kind of range pass, and likes to play the game at his kind of pace. Looks... Morrisseem, Joe, looks like more of a ball-playing midfielder to me. Traditionally, in these number 8 positions which Liverpool have had, you're looking at midfield players who are box-to-box, arriving onto things, arriving late into the box, i.e. Henderson, Wijnaldum, those type of players. Even Naby Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain, those type of players, not happy to drop deep and get on the ball and play, want to arrive on things. This lad maybe looks a little bit different, happy to sit a little bit more in that central area. Not exactly sure that's what Liverpool need in there. I mean, he could be fighting with Fabinho potentially going forward for that holding midfield position. But it's clearly a player of quality.
Nunez just picked up the ball, Liverpool sort of on the counter-attack, and it was the most telegraphed, I'm going to sprint here until I run into a bunch of bodies. Did that, lost the ball, and then Madrid take it. And they've so much craft, Madrid. I just saw these little clever triangles and experience and quality. I mean... you can see why people did write them off as this ageing force, but then they keep on doing it. And I would say they're starting, just last 5-10 minutes as we've talked here, starting to turn the screw a touch, play their way around Liverpool a bit easier maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Some of those Liverpool players aren't pressing with as much vigour as they could in the first half.
Yeah, I agree. Lose confidence a little bit when that happens. Opposition teams start working the ball around, you're pressing, you're getting past it, round 1-2. You go again, and suddenly you start to doubt yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
That can creep into your play, so you have to fight that a little bit. I'd like to think there's enough experience in that Liverpool team, but experience only carry you too far. We all know experience, what an asset that can be, but only to a point.
Yeah, got to be able
to keep what I mean?
Got to be able to keep running.
Yeah, and they look as if they're really enjoying themselves at the moment, Madrid.
That point you said on Bacic, that he looks like somebody who likes to play the game at his own pace. You did not see the Liam Brady documentary?
Not yet. I will be watching it.
We were disappointed that night when it was meant to be on and then wasn't on.
Yeah, that's right.
But it eventually was on, and you just reminded me of a lovely comment that Tardelli makes about Brady. I didn't realise, by the way, they were such good friends as players.
Right.
So I knew, obviously, with the Trapattoni era, there's obviously a bit of a connection.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe that was predominantly Trapattoni and Tardelli, and Brady was along for the ride as well. So as you'll see when you watch the documentary, when Madrid shot goes just wide, Tardelli and Brady are like brothers. Like, they loved each other. Like, best friends, effectively. But Tardelli was he was describing Liam Brady, and he was doing this over this gorgeous footage of Brady just like jogging through midfield by different players. So Tardelli said Brady was kind of an annoying player because he wasn't slow, but he wasn't fast, and yet he would just beat you with a feint and then beat you and just keep going. And he said Liam played the game at his own unique pace, which was I suspect a very insightful summation of Brady. And then it just cut to, like I said, footage of Brady running at what you'd call 3/4 pace, but beating players.
Yeah.
Gorgeous dribbling ability. I didn't quite know he was such a good dribbler, I have to say.
Yeah. There's not too many of them around. There hasn't been for quite some time. Joe, you're really struggling. That an orthodox central midfield player who can not just carry the ball, but actually go past. I think we had this conversation before, didn't we? Wilshere was one I've mentioned before, that one of the very few that I've seen who had that ability.
I think it came up when we were saying that Foden centrally for England.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think central midfielders are encouraged to dribble now. I think every coach should tell any teenage midfielder, don't dare try and take a man on. Move it on, pass.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's a bit of that. It's been coached out with players a little bit, kind of fixed patterns of play, A, B, C, D, which I understand. I wouldn't be critical of that. But you'd never like to see that taken out, the ability of somebody 1v1 situations.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what kind of breaks down your kind of, tactical, defensive tactical setups and organisation. You know what I mean? You can think ahead and try and imagine, all sorts of potential situations and set your team up to counteract it. But the ability of somebody just to get the ball and go, right, I'm gonna change the whole dynamic of this game in the next 3 seconds by dropping my shoulder and beating two and putting it in the back of the net. You know what I mean? So not too many of them around. Liam was It was one of them.
Footage is beautiful. Bacic with a long-range effort. Still, Real Madrid 4, Liverpool 2. The Brady documentary, we talked about it on the show a good bit, so won't labour the point. It will be right up your street.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah.
A letter Jack Charlton wrote to Brady after the fallout and the end of Brady's career. There's a letter that Charlton wrote to Brady, which Brady reads out at the end of the documentary, and it will knock your socks off. A beautiful Jack Charlton letter to Liam.
Oh, nice.
Apologising for the hurt I've caused you. Lines like that in it.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Amazing. And one other moment, how football's changed. Tardelli and Brady are chatting, and Tardelli turns around to him and says, hang on, you were top scorer for us that year, weren't you? And Brady's like, I was, yeah. And I was thinking, God, was Brady weighing in with 20 from midfield as well? And Tardelli goes, how many did you score again? Brady, 8.
He didn't score so many goals in the Serie A back in those days.
Oh my God. We'll take a short break. There's a few things we want to get through. The name Benny McCarthy was being sung around Old Trafford, believe it or not, at the weekend. So I want to ask Kenny about that. As Madrid on their counter-attack, there's a big chance for Benzema. Takes it around Alisson. Oh, wow. 5-2. Madrid are celebrating. All the players jumping in the air like they're through. They may well be through. Talk to us.
Oh,
the quality.
The quality of this goal is absolutely phenomenal.
Talk
so about quick transition. Liverpool and the Real Madrid half the pitch, give up possession. Luka Modric for the first kind of 3 seconds when they turn the ball over. It's absolutely phenomenal what he does. 37 years of age, under pressure. You're talking about Liam Brady in terms of dropping his shoulder and just gliding past people. That's exactly what he does. Opens it up. Seeing it here, the replay. Liverpool in possession as Fabinho gives it away. Modric takes it off him.
Modric pounces on Fabinho.
Unbelievable. He just drives forward. By Yetage, you could argue maybe take him out, take a yellow card, because once he gets past him, Liverpool are really in trouble because he's got Vinicius on his left-hand side, Benzema on his right. Plays Vinicius, who slides in Benzema, and even then he's got a bit to do. Doesn't panic, puts Alisson on his backside. There's even 2 Liverpool defenders on the goal line. Is it Robertson and Van Dijk?
Yeah.
Just slides it inside foot, puts it inside the near post. Like calmness personified. I mean, absolutely brutal that is.
They've been so good tonight. Like, so brilliant to go 2-0 down away from home and to be 5-2 up after 68 minutes. This actually is now getting into the territory I think Liverpool fans were worried it would be a couple of weeks ago, which is a touch embarrassing for them. 5-2 at home, 2 up. I mean, Burnabout could be a whole different struggle in itself.
But this is like, it's a heavy, slightly heavy touch, isn't it?
Yeah.
From Fabinho. But this is the way this is the modern game now. If you're Fabinho on that area of the pitch, Liverpool in advanced areas of the pitch, committing players high up, stretching the pitch, big distances between people. You give up that ball as a deep defensive midfielder in that area of the pitch. He's 15, 20 yards inside the opposition half. You give the ball up there, you are in big, big trouble because the normal defensive principles when I played no longer apply now. That it's gone now. So you give the ball away there, you're bang in trouble. There's no way those advanced players, your full-backs, players in advance to the ball can get back. The distances are too big now in terms of how teams set up. The only player, like I said, young boy Cecic again, you're talking about experience. He's the last one who's got a chance to affect Modric, and I think really should. If that was Fabinho, there's no way Modric is staying on his feet. He's on his backside, it's a free kick, and he's taking a yellow card. As soon as Modric gets beyond Bajcetic, they're in trouble because he's going to pick the right pass. And invariably so does Vinicius, and the finish from Benzema, absolutely top quality.
Top quality, yeah. Football shows brought to you by Sky. You can watch RB Leipzig take on Man City in the Champions League tomorrow night, live only on BT Sport. Short ad break. More from Kenny in just a sec.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky. Watch every UEFA Champions League and Europa League match live on BT Sport this season.
This is News Talk. Talking history.
We're looking at the history of modern Ukraine, and we'll be exploring questions of identity as well as the making of modern Ukraine and the roots of the terrible ongoing conflict today.
Talking history with Patrick Gagan.
Tune in, subscribe and discover the past in a new way with Talking History. Available on newstalk.com or on the Newstalk app, powered by Go Loud.
This is Dr. Georgina Jordan, Head of Emergency Response for Goal. The major earthquake that struck Turkey and Syria has left thousands dead and many more without shelter or safety. Gold teams are on the ground assessing needs and providing support to the already fragile communities affected. To make a donation or start a fundraiser, please visit gold.ie. Thank you.
Taking time out to visit a healthcare professional isn't always convenient. That's why at Irish Life Health, we visit you. With My Clinic, our members get virtual access to back and neck physiotherapy, professional counselling, unlimited GP consultations and more. Search Irish Life Health. A better life with Irish Life Health. Services available where covered in your plan and clinically appropriate. Professional counselling available to age 16 plus. Back and neck physio to age 18 plus. Irish Life Health Act is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Terms and conditions apply.
For over 25 years, Timber Living has been building Ireland's premier residential log cabins. Stylish, cosy, low maintenance and built to last. Timber Living cabins feature double wall construction and high-grade windows and insulation. They're affordable too, with a cabin to suit every budget. Perfect for year-round living. Timber Living log cabins are also ideal as a garden office, granny flat or holiday home. Take a 3D walk through our cabin range at timberliving.ie or drop into our show cabins in Carlow, Cork and Roscommon. Timber Living, Ireland's favourite log cabins.
You may think we need a lot of sun for solar panels in Ireland, but with modern panels from evolveecosolutions.ie, all you need is daylight. Our solar panels can save you money with fast installation and grants of up to €2,400. We also install heat pumps and insulation. And yep, there are grants for those too. Check out evolveecosolutions.ie and book your free no-obligation consultation. evolveecosolutions.ie. More power to your home.
There are many reasons to take a midweek break at the 5-star Killarney Park Hotel. Exploring the stunning sights in Killarney National Park, with the town centre right on your doorstep. Relaxing in our luxurious spa, enjoying pre-dinner bubbles, an exquisite meal, a sumptuous breakfast and late checkout. A breakaway with endless possibilities. Book our ultimate overnighter package now from €153 per person sharing. The 5-star Killarney Park awaits. KillarneyParkHotel.ie.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky, all the football you love in one place. Across Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports.
An interesting substitutions at Anfield. Joe Gomez is coming on for Joel Matip. Go win us the game, Joe.
Or let's not concede anymore.
And James Milner on for Henderson. Fresh legs, I guess. Henderson's bit more energy about him. Maybe 70 minutes is what he has in the tank at this level, and Milner goes on to see it home for the last 25. Yeah, that is a let's not concede another type change.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's a bit of a head wreck, this one, as a player. They're not fools. The Liverpool players, 5-2. What do you do? Stick or twist? They've already seen how dangerous Madrid are. The counter-attack transition second half. But you know pretty much this tie is over at 5-2, so to try and push to an extent.
I think I said it wrong. Matip's on for Gomez, not the opposite way around. But either way, I don't think it's going to be.
Yeah, he hasn't had the greatest of nights, Gomez. You could, a couple of those goals we spoke about, the quality of the back. I know it's only small detail. The free kick he gave away, start to the second half, I spoke about no need to go to ground there, just stay on your feet.
It's a bit like, because I was we were chatting during the ad break, because it is just such an interesting game. I was sort of saying, for a team that have conceded 5, would you say Liverpool have defended badly? And it's more what you're describing there, which is those small mistakes, Gomez, Bacic, and they just get punished.
Yeah, and it's amazing, Joe, because even in my career, I always found even the level, the highest level that I got to, even like in international football, and just kind of, professionally, whatever, never played in the Premiership. For me, the basic principles still applied, even the higher that you went. Just do the basics. Even at the highest level, it used to cost you. You know what I mean? Just switching off. A runner having an extra touch to, going to ground when you should have stayed in your feet, going tight to a play when you should have dropped into this. All the basic, the fundamentals of kind of defending that you're taught growing up still apply even when you're playing at the elite level. And we've spoken about a few of them tonight in relation to a couple of the goals Liverpool have conceded. So you're right, actually, in terms of Liverpool's kind of collective defensive structure. I actually think stood up quite well, particularly first half, which was great to see. But within that, just individual errors. And I'm not talking about, I know there was an error from Alisson, a big error in relation to the second goal, but the other goals, just small little errors like decision making, positional sense. have just cost them. This team has been absolutely ruthless. Real Madrid, you just get a sense they just smelled blood there, Joe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the start of the second half, they went after Liverpool. There was almost like a collective at half-time. Come on, there's another gear or two here from us. Let's go, and we can actually take this game away from Liverpool's second half.
Yeah, they've looked very good. Life can be strange. So if you had said to Benny McCarthy in 2004, when he scored 2 goals for Jose Mourinho's Porto to knock Manchester United out of the Champions League, he said, Benny, in 19 years' time, when United are beating Leicester, the Old Trafford faithful will be singing your name. He would have been thinking, really? How's that going to go? So Benny McCarthy is now 45 years of age. Had a better career than you would think, actually.
Yeah.
He was a really good player. So I mentioned the Porto Champions League situation. But even at Blackburn, 140 games for Blackburn, he scored 52 goals. He finished second to Drogba in the Golden Boot in the Premier League in 2007. Second to Drogba. Disappointing spell at West Ham, admittedly. And then for South Africa, 79 matches. He is their all-time leading scorer with 31 goals. So this guy knows how to score a goal. Manchester United and Ten Hag were looking at their situation, and Ten Hag said, interestingly, last month, he said, in our coaching staff, we had a lot of defenders, a lot of midfield players. I wanted a balance. Benny's offensive minded, he's a former striker, and that's a very specific task in a team. He said, I never played there, so I'm lucky to have someone on my staff who's a specialist. Football is about scoring. You have a goalkeeping specialist, you have to have offensive specialists, in particular, a scoring coach. So it seems United went after Robin van Persie, saying, come on back, we'd love to have you. Van Persie couldn't be tempted, and it seems Benny McCarthy's agent made the appeal, said, look, he understands the Ajax way from his time in Holland. That's your way, Ten Hag. He speaks English, Dutch, Spanish and Portuguese, can speak to all your players. Why don't you give him a chance? And so they gave him a chance, and they watched him work with the under-23s at Carrington. Ten Hag watched these sessions. No pressure, Benny. And he said, I like the cut of your jib. In you come. Apparently, McCarthy accepted without even discussing salary. His agent puked in the car when he heard this. You're kidding me. But he accepted without discussing salary. He's by the way, he's turned down the South African national team job. Head coach, manager. So clearly interested in building his resume in the right way and not rushing into things. Still only 45. Long story short, Marcus Rashford in particular has worked closely with him on his heading in particular, scored the header against Leeds and I think one against West Ham as well. Jadon Sancho apparently has been working with him as well, but Rashford pretty effusive about the job that Benny McCarthy has done with him. So pretty interesting, and we were kind of even chatting about this, and I was saying in some respects there could be an old school mentality in football whereby someone's just a finisher and knows how to finish, or he's not a natural finisher, you can't really teach that sort of thing. Clearly you can, and Rashford proof in the pudding. McCarthy doing something right. You'd love to sit in those sessions and see what he's done, but you're all for this.
Yeah, I think so. Well, why not? Try and find out. What have you got to lose? Absolutely nothing. So bring him in. I think it was smart in terms of getting him in and having a look at him up close. Because you can talk the talk. His agent's saying, "Oh, he knows the Ajax way." I'm not exactly sure what that means, to be honest with you. And he speaks kind of 4 languages, and if you're talking rubbish in 4 languages, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't worry about all that. But when you get someone on the training pitch, and you have an opportunity to look at him up close, his interaction with the players, the information that he's given the players, I think that's when you make your judgment call off the back of that. So he was obviously happy with what he saw. So I think that was smart in terms of that. And he's clearly had an impact. You take Rashford at his word in terms of how he's enjoyed working with him, and he has been a help. So, yeah, I think that's a smart move. I really do. Because I think we all know it's a kind of specialised area of the pitch.
Yeah.
He speaks about like defenders on his coaching staff. That's it's always been pretty much part of the core for the course. And I think in terms of Joe, the kind of like tactical setup of the team, the in possession and out possession, I think generally speaking, it's not understood, but by and large, it's players who've played with kind of in defensive areas of the pitch with a defensive mindset, probably best served in terms of tactical setup, in terms of setting up a team, particularly out possession.
I was just going to say that, by the way.
There's not always. It's not a given.
I know, but I have that bias against strikers as well to be head coaches, managers. Now, text in, Mick outside will do a scan of his brain. Who are the great managers who were strikers. But I do have this bias against them.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that. I think that's different. I'm talking about someone on the training pitch in terms of responsibility, like tactical setup of the team, in possession and out of possession. You can have a manager who's, say Alan Shearer, for example,
I would
come in as a manager, but he could delegate that responsibility to somebody else. I'm generally speaking, for me, coaches that I worked with and enjoyed working with, kind of could give me good information in terms of my defensive play and help me from a defensive point of view, positional sense and everything else, were generally cut from the same jib. Like, they were defenders themselves.
In fairness, Mick has named two good ones: Alex Ferguson, Brian Clough. Just to my point. But I am biased against strikers.
No, but again, I'm talking. Brian Clough didn't coach on the or even did Alex Ferguson. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'd separate them in terms of managers who actually manage players and manage the dressing room, as opposed to there's some managers who coach, some managers don't coach. You know what I mean?
In your experience, and be honest here, would you trust a striker to be a good coach? Because I don't think they have it in them. I don't think they.
Or a goalkeeper. No, I'm only kidding.
I don't think they have.
No, I wouldn't necessarily. No, I'd always listen to anybody. But the basic, if you looked at it, I never have. If you looked at that over the years, in terms of, it generally is though, isn't it? When you look at coaches who work on the training pitch, it's usually somebody who's operating that area of the pitch, you know, defensively or central midfield. Generally, are the ones who are going to drive it,
because they're kind of seeing the whole picture. Whereas a striker's looking back the other way, going, "I just want to score. I don't care about all that stuff back there." That's what's going on.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite. I think it's quite as simple as that. But in terms of McCarthy, but in McCarthy, you're talking about real, specific.
Well, he's finishing
individual. Yeah, I imagine it's everything. You know, it's finishing. It's link up. It's like, where are you looking to attack? What are you looking to do out of possession? Are you aware of the quick transitions?
Rashford mentioned heading in particular. So it's like that kind of granular. It's, well, what do you do? When you're flicking one to the back post, how do you do it? It's interesting, even at Rashford's level, Rashford's age, he's still getting
all of that would come into, I'd imagine. And then, like I said to you, it's just about repetition then. It's just getting on with it then, isn't it? Just practice it and repetition. And so it's all of that. So, I understand that. So I read the article as well. So I was very interested by it. I think it's always been around. Coaches naturally would do that work with strikers anyway. Any players, individual work is probably not as prominent maybe 25, 30 years ago. Maybe it is now. The coaching staff is so big, it's quite bloated.
Yeah.
Now the coaching staff, coaches have certain responsibilities. So I'd like to think that individual work is being done to a large extent now. But it always was generally.
Okay.
Coaches would always find a bit of time to work individually. I used to do it before and after training.
You used to coach the finishing?
I did actually, to be honest with you, yeah, because... when Mick was at Millwall, he had a number 2, Ian Evans, who came to him with Ireland.
Yeah.
And he used to do well for me. I think he took Pete on me, Taff as we used to call him. Because I'd be in training at the training ground early, nothing better to do. And he'd be out with the forwards before training with a big bag of balls, just smashing balls at them, touch, finish.
Yeah.
So I'd help him with the setup. I'd go out with him. I'd be hanging around and he'd kind of take that stray dog one, our routine. So he'd drag me onto the training pitch and he'd set balls up and I'd hit balls. I practiced my left foot, to be honest. My left foot was only my left foot was for standing on for when I went over to England.
Look, and sorry to interrupt, okay? So for me, that's practice. That's, I'm going to fire balls at you, touch, shoot. Oh, that was rubbish. Next up, go. Whereas what we're talking about here almost is
more
coaching.
nuanced, a little bit more nuanced. I take your point, but it's everything. It's what I'm talking about. And I saw it with that repetition. Because I saw it myself over a period of time, probably years. This slight, small, isn't it? Small, gradual improvement. You know what I mean? And it's the same like with strikers. But you're right, there's all aspects of it. The technical side, where are you hitting that ball? Strike, your balance, you're out balance, you're leaning.
Where do you plant your foot? All
that
stuff.
Exactly. So it's all of that stuff as well. So it encompasses all of that. So clearly, I'm guessing that's what Benny McCarthy's doing.
Yeah. I do think, though, deep down, you do agree with me that you don't rate the views of strikers or goalkeepers on tactics. You're like, I'll listen to you, but really... No, not for me.
Strikers, I found, would always offer an opinion in terms of how you defend it, but it was generally along the lines of, that's rubbish, what are you doing, that's hopeless, how did you let him score, as opposed to any kind of detail on the argument. I feel you should have dropped maybe 2 yards, you should have shown him that.
Yeah.
Wasn't too much of that, wasn't too much of meat on the bone.
Detail, no.
When you're being
just
criticised.
Get on with it, give it to me.
I'm sure they'd argue the same as well.
What a weekend, Arsenal City. I mean, talk about that thing going one way and then turning the other. So that was so interesting, and Arsenal have a bit of a lead again. I'm curious on the Chelsea situation. We touched on it on the news round as well. Is your sense that Potter, if he was given decent chunk of time, could sort this out, or is he in danger of like the whole thing turning a touch toxic, dressing room fed up, fans fed up, and it goes to a point where it's just too far gone?
Well, that's what he's got to be careful of, while he's kind of managing the dressing room and putting all the pieces together. It doesn't become too toxic. Not just within the dressing room, players going, "Oh, this fella hasn't got a clue what he's doing," but also the supporters losing faith, because we all know once you lose the supporters, generally speaking, that's the trigger for the owners to, pull the trap door. But I do get a sense of they're gonna stick with him, and I think he will make it better. I still think he's short one or two areas of the pitch. Again, I think there'll be more people coming in the door in the summer. Still think they're short central midfield player, despite the fact they spent 100 million on Fernandes. Still think they need somebody to play alongside him. And I just think if he gets those one or two more players in, he's got a full pre-season, then I think then we'll see the improvement, because he's someone who does do the work on the training pitch. And how he asks the team to play, Joe, I don't think it's easy. I know he's got some top-class footballers there, but the demands he puts on players in terms of how he wants them to play, not easy. Not as if you're talking, Sam Allardyce here coming in, right, lads, keep it nice and compact, nice compact defensive and hit the channels and join in and back to basics type thing. It's almost the opposite with Potter in terms of the demands he's putting on players, particularly in possession.
I presume there will be a cull over the summer, but for the time being, he has a first team squad of 33 players blinking back at him every day in training. How does a session work with 33 players? How do you pick a team every week and you disappoint 20 out of them? Like, that's an unwieldy amount of players for any manager to have to work with every day, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right. I'd be surprised if he's working with that amount in the media force teams.
You couldn't. But then you're saying to big enough players, can you...
exactly. This is the problem with a bloated squad. It always has been. You cause more problems. It was always Mourinho was always one for in terms of, and some other managers I heard, and I understood it. Little bit of a tighter squad, rather than being bloated and having unhappy players around the dressing room, particularly at big egos at a big club. So yeah, he's right. I'm sure he'll make those decisions in the summer in terms of players, and players who are on the periphery will be be out on loan, Joe, whatever, or even sold. And then he should have the squad that he wants, the balance that he wants in the squad by the time the season kicks off. Now, some other managers mightn't have got that kind of patience, but I get a sense of they haven't lost faith in him, the ownership, that they're going to stick with him and give him a little bit of time to implement his methods. And yeah, I think he'll get it. Personally, I think he'll get it, but we all know in football, never say never.
Well, indeed, and there were boos obviously at Stamford Bridge at the weekend. 88 minutes on the clock, Liverpool 2, Real Madrid 5 is still the scoreline. Benzema has gone off, and to much acclaim from the Real Madrid fans, they don't need another goal, so he's off for the evening. On the Arsenal City situation, what a shift in the dynamic there.
Brilliant. It's exactly what we want. It's exactly what we want. It would have been City reeling them in.
Dispiriting for the neutral if Arsenal had wobbled against Villa. City win, it would just start to feel very ominous.
But that's what we didn't want, I suppose, from a neutral point of view. Arsenal's form to drop off a cliff, and you know what I mean, and City to just kind of, title race to be over by kind of the start of April. So I think it was important, that result from Arsenal's perspective. It was a gutsy performance. I watched them out and most of it.
Right.
Weren't at their best. Obviously, Partey missing is a loss. Speak about, Arsenal, reasonably strong all over the pitch, but I think there's certain key areas or key players for them that they really don't want to miss between now and the end of the season. Partey's one of them. Okay. I'd suggest maybe Saka's probably the only other player I think that that would really hurt them if they were out for any extended period. So for me, Partey out and Jorginho coming in for me is like that's a drop off. So I give them credit for the fact that despite of that, they kind of hung around in the game and found a way to win against Aston Villa. So that'll do them the world of good in terms of that bit of confidence. It might have taken a bit of a knock, a little bit of a fear factor creeping in. City on their coattails. And then, of course, City going, compounding it.
Well, Pat Nevin on Monday, he said it should have been 5-0 half time. Just one of those days in front of goal for whatever reason.
That's it. You got to be clinical. It's now, I heard Pep again. Like, I'd never like to hear, they're talking about Farrell, aren't we? Andy Farrell, never one to dwell on the negatives. Pep after the game, not only chances we create, but, we're playing against the team, 9 behind the ball, and, And I'm
I
thinking,
hate that, as if the team isn't allowed to defend.
Exactly. I mean, every team's got 10 players behind the ball out of possession. Like, you're doing something wrong to a large extent. The majority of players aren't behind the ball.
For a club with 115 charges against them, it's a hell of a moral high ground to take, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's like frustration, is it? Real frustration that he knew we'd kind of reeled Arsenal in, and they've let them off the hook a little bit, giving them a little bit more breathing space. But yeah, it's all to play for. You'd expect City to come again, and the challenge is going to be there for Arsenal between now and the end of the season. I think it's great. I think it's great to see.
Short ad break. Football show brought to you by Sky. You can watch Leipzig take on Man City in the Champions League tomorrow night, live only on BT Sport. 3 minutes of added time feels a touch academic at this stage. Liverpool 2, Real Madrid 5.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky. Watch every UEFA Champions League and Europa League match live on BT Sport this season.
This is News Talk.
City breakers, business travellers, family adventurers. Say hello to Stay City Apart Hotels. Half apartment, half hotel. The best things about a hotel, like 24-hour reception, free Wi-Fi and stylish cafes. Plus, home comforts, like your own kitchen and super comfy beds. London, Paris, Dublin, Venice and more. Save 10% every time you book at staycity.com. T&Cs apply.
We're sorry to inform you of yet another delay. No, not the train this time, it's John. He's delayed getting his eyes tested. If he's accidentally sat in your lap, knocked over your suitcase or kissed you instead of his wife, we can only apologise. John has now been informed that eye tests and glasses from the €69 range at Specsavers are free with PRSI or medical card. So there's no need to delay booking an appointment. Find out more at specsavers.ie. John, can you get off my lap?
FBD doesn't stand for frightening rad dentists, ferociously beating drums, or feline business directors. FBD stands for support. We support business owners in Ireland with tailor-made services from personally assigned advisors. Visit your local branch to talk to your FBD insurance team. FBD Insurance. Support. It's what we do. Underwritten by FBD Insurance plc. FBD Insurance Group Limited, trading as FBD Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Hey, Ireland. I'm the new Aura Funky Cat. I'm not just 100% electric. I'm your new Carpanion. Use your phone to check my charge or warm me up on cold mornings. With a range of up to 420 kilometres, you'll want to take me everywhere. And with my low monthly cost, I'm a friend that can take you to a better future. Ireland. Aura loves you. Take the new Aura Funky Cat 400 Pro Plus for a spin. Book at aura-ev.ie.
I'd pretty much given up on dating apps, to be honest. I had enough of them. But I knew a friend who'd met someone on Go Dating, so I gave it a go. And yeah, it was great. I met someone. It wasn't like instant fireworks or anything, but we ended up chatting for hours, and 8 months later, we're still together.
You never know when you'll find that special someone, but at Go Dating, we'll do all we can to make it happen. Because when you know, you'll know. Sign up today at godating.ie. As loved by News Talk.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Sky. All the football you love in one place. Across Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sports.
Welcome back. So we're full time at Anfield. It has finished 5-2 Real Madrid. Kenny Cunningham, sum up what we've learned this evening.
Yeah, I think we've learned. Probably Liverpool supporters have learned probably what they already haven't learned anything. They've seen what they already know. I expect
it extinguishes any brief hope they may have had over the last week. Well and truly.
I've taken Madrid over the two legs. Is that what you mean?
Just better against Everton, beat Newcastle. I wonder, are we revving up here? And then no, bit of a reality check.
Yeah, there has been a little bit rev up and improvement, and I expect that kind of improvement to continue between now and the end of the season with kind of players coming back. But the ceiling of that is is still short.
Yeah,
and
on Madrid.
Yeah, I just feel we saw Madrid at their best second half. Like I said, just watching the screen there, second half just looked as if just switched on, moving the ball quicker, more dynamic in terms of their movement all over the pitch, and just really went at Liverpool in that second half, and just really, just took the game away from them.
Yeah. we are pretty much done. Tomorrow evening, Liam Hay is going to be in studio for a general chat about life and how things are. We have Wednesday night rugby. There will be reaction to Republic of Ireland against China as well. Dan will be along for the football show. You can podcast all of tonight's show in the usual places. OTB AM coming at you tomorrow morning, 7:30 as usual, I'm sure, with lots of talk on the European football amongst other things. Kenny, pleasure. We'll do it again soon. Cheers. Tom Dunn is on the way. Bye for now.
Give him a ball and he out of grass. He'll give you a move for the perfect pass. Give him a ball and he out of space. He'll give you a move with godly grace. He's a nice young man. It's a lovely smile. He's a nice young man. It's a lovely smile. He's a nice young
Follow
man.
at Newstalk FM on TikTok and Facebook for the latest stories, videos and in-depth articles.
With so much to see and do, what will you